share. Hey, Facebook. Let me share this live video, episode 26. "26 of these things, guys. At 30, I get a set of steak knives from Talk 107.3.
You get a T-shirt.
Do I get a T-shirt? I get a signed autograph of Richard Condon.
Is this up? Why am I not seeing us?
I'm seeing it. What do you do when you have too much time on your hands in COVID-19? You buy red headphones because your show is called Geaux Rouge. Lame.
Oh, there we are. Son of a biscuit. My description looks like a ransom note. Tyler. Hey, this is Brian from Talk 107.3. How are you, man? Doing all right. You ready to roll with Franz here? Excellent. And since I've got you here and I've got your number now from Franz, would you mind coming on my show during the week as well? I saw the story in the Daily Report yesterday afternoon, and would really like to talk to you about where the future is with all this. Excellent. I'll hit you up after we're done here. I'm gonna drop you on hold real quick. Franz is gonna be about 2-3 minutes in the intro, and then coming your way. Okay? I hear you loud and clear. Good deal. Hang tight.
Won't you be my neighbor?
You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
Hello, Baton Rouge. This is Franz Borchardt, host of the Geaux Rouge radio show, episode 26. Episode 26. I do a few more of these, and I get a set of steak knives, or maybe a T-shirt from Talk 107.3. So, if you want to get more information about the Geaux Rouge show, you should go to www.geauxrouge.com. G-E-A-U-X, rouge.com. Geauxrouge.com. We post blogs, we post the radio shows, we have a link to YouTube. Did you know that we put all of our radio shows on YouTube, as well as any of the webinars, we put them on YouTube as well. So more information about Geaux Rouge, go to the website. Certainly check out and follow the YouTube page. And we are on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Insta. Today we're going to change it up a little bit. Today we're going to be talking to industrial folks that are giving back during COVID-19. We're going to talk to Stephanie Cargile from Exxon. We're going to talk to Michelle Hardy from Turner Industries, and we're going to talk to Tyler Gray, the president and general counsel of the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. These companies are community leaders. While we don't always recognize them as such, they have pivoted what they normally do and started to give back to the community. If we have time today, Brian Haldane, by the way, is on Master Controls, folks. If we have time today, we're going to talk a little bit about this concept I've developed called Real Housewives of Baton Rouge. It's an original concept. I've just pulled this out of the air.
This is something that I've been working on the side. From the files of Great Minds Think Alike.
Yes,
this has been bubbling with me for some time now.
So we're gonna muse on what the Real Housewives of Baton Rouge looks like, and maybe later this week I'll help Brian on his show muse on this a little bit. Before we jump into our first guest, we've got a couple of things we need to talk about. Sunday is Mother's Day, and you need to keep an eye on the Geaux Rouge page, social media page, and website, because we're going to be listing Mother's Day deals and Mother's Day local businesses that are giving the perfect gifts for that special someone, that special mother that you care about, whether it's your mother, whether it's your wife, the mother of your child. So we're going to post that up, so be keeping an eye out for that. Also, we are doing a graduation initiative. One of the things that is being lost in this COVID-19 crisis is we have a lot of seniors that are graduating, and we want to do something for them. So we have a thread going on the Geaux Rouge page. You can post a picture of your loved one, give them a shout out. The plan is in early June to do an episode devoted to all the people that made the post, just to kind of give them some love. So make sure you give that a little bit of an effort by posting a picture of someone you care about that's graduating. Doesn't have to be your kid, but it is super simple, and we've already got a good amount of posts on there. So sliding into our first guest, Brian, we've got Tyler Gray from the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. Tyler, are you there?
I am here.
Hey, brother, how you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah, man. How are you?
Dude, I'm living the COVID-19 dream. I am. So it's funny because the downside of this COVID-19 situation is the practice of law. My day job has ground to a screeching halt. But my side hustle, my passion, my Geaux Rouge radio show, I've got to spend a whole bunch. It's like I'm getting to work on the car, my dream car. So I'm getting to have fun. It's weird. So that all being said, we wanted to have you on the show today because today we're featuring basically folks in industry that are giving back, that are pivoting their position. There's a lot going on with oil and gas right now. So we're not going to talk about the oil and gas situation so much as we're talking about how Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association is making some relief efforts for COVID-19. So, Tyler, what are you guys doing on this?
Well, first of all, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the show today.
Absolutely.
We'll also share that my, as a lawyer myself, my practice of law has definitely dried up in this job. So I feel your pain on that front. We really had a wonderful opportunity to work through our foundation, and LaMoga can only go as far as its members carry it. And so we've been a tremendously thankful and an excited partner to work with BRAF, the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, Entergy, ExxonMobil, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Humana for what we call Fueling the Fight initiative. And so what we're doing is we are providing meals for our frontline healthcare workers, Baton Rouge area hospitals. To date, the fund has served over 10,000 meals and counting to around 500 plus area healthcare workers at 5 local hospitals since Monday, April 13th, which is right after Easter. And so, we've really been thankful to be part of this initiative. It's a team that's been doing this, being able to reinvest in our community, and we've had the opportunity to help and be a part of that, and we've been really thankful.
So I've often said, Tyler, that historically we're going to be judged based on what we do during this time later, and it's good to see that you guys are doing that. What kind of, I guess my question is what spawned this? What was the driving force behind this?
So, it's a good question. Personally, I am always excited and look forward to opportunities to reinvest in my own community. I am new in this role since the first part of last year, and it is something that has always been important to me to be a part of our community and recognize those that are, out on the front lines and managing situations just like this. And we were approached by our membership and great partners like Entergy and Exxon and asked if we would be interested in being a part of that. And we jumped on it. We work with the Better Together Restaurant Coalition, coordinating meals and just trying to be involved with the situation. I mean, I am blessed with the privilege to being able to stay at home.
Right.
And that's not true for everyone. And so we want to be able to invest in the people that are out there working to manage this pandemic. And then in exchange for that, we've seen that places like, and having conversations with the Baton Rouge General Foundation, they're able to reallocate funds towards other items that may be more important.
Right.
And having their frontline workers out there being fed, staying involved, they don't have they don't have to slow down. They can keep going. They don't have to leave the facility. It cuts down on their need to sanitize workers. It reduces supplies. I mean, it really has a tremendous trickle-down impact that we're able to be engaged from afar.
So one of the things I like about what's going on is it's spawning creativity. Speaking of the Baton Rouge General Foundation, one of the things that they're spearheading right now is to try to get tablet devices for patients so that they can connect to family members. It's something so it just makes sense, right? That patients who cannot be, they're under quarantine, they're getting treated, they cannot be around family members. It would make sense that they would need the convalescence that comes with being around and being able to talk to people that you love and care about. Now, changing gears a little bit, we got about 3 minutes left. Tyler, I'm a criminal defense attorney, so okay. I don't deal with the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association a lot. Tell the folks out there a little bit about I know what an association does, right? Yep. But tell the folks out there a little bit about you guys and where they can get more information about you.
So we represent all of the oil and gas, natural gas refineries in the state. We do a lot of work in the Gulf of Mexico, offshore activities, pipelines, LNG, and do have some onshore production. And so what we do is we interface primarily with the government, both the state, federal, and local governments in managing regulatory issues, legislative issues, and engage with the general public, answer questions, be able to facilitate things just like this. I started as a regulatory lawyer within one of the agencies and then sort of worked my way out from that. And so if you want to get more information, we have several different subsidiaries or organizations that you could be part of, and that includes our website is www.lmoga.com, and then you'll have more information there about ways that you can get involved to learn more about what the oil and natural gas industry is doing. And then if you want to learn more and get more information on this, we do have a place on our webpage where you can go to find out more information about Fueling the Fight initiative. And then if you want to donate, you can go to the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, which is BRAF.org, BRAF.org, if you want to donate to this Fueling the Fight initiative. Man,
I love the connectivity you guys are having. The Better Together Baton Rouge Restaurant Initiative, BRAF, working with different restaurants. I mean, your spider web of community give back, Tyler, is fantastic. Thank you guys for everything you're doing. And look, you're wearing a lot of different hats, I imagine. I mean, an association, I would imagine, is also being kind of busy at the legislature right now. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, that's definitely a fair assumption.
Well, I'm hoping that you guys can balance everything that's going on. And look, Brian Haldane is on Master Controls right now. I know he's going to have you on his show to talk about some of the less heartwarming aspects of what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it deeply. And Tyler, we certainly will have you back. Have a great day, brother, and be safe.
Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Man, I've never, I just don't deal, Brian, I don't deal with the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association much. And it's good to hear what they're doing. People take for granted what these industries are doing. So now on the show, guys and gals, we have Stephanie Cargile. Stephanie is with ExxonMobil. Stephanie is the ExxonMobil Baton Rouge Public and Government Affairs Manager. I am a huge fan of Stephanie. Stephanie, you there?
I'm here.
Thank
you.
Welcome to the Geaux Rouge Show. I am so happy that I was able to convince you. I know you're incredibly busy. I know you've got a lot of demands, so I am ecstatic that I finally have you on the show. You are doing some wonderful things through Exxon for the community, and I am very pleased about it. So, for those listening, I met Miss Cargile at a business report executive, I guess, event where we were basically getting interviewed. And I'm one of those bad citizens, Stephanie, that didn't know all the community stuff that Exxon was doing. So as soon as I heard it, I was like, man, I've got to get her on the show. I've got to talk to her about all the great stuff that ExxonMobil's given back for the community. So let's jump in. How are things at Exxon right now?
Things are busy, and look, thank you for having me on the show.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
excited to be here. And I'll tell you, our team, my team of public affairs folks has been really busy just trying to figure out how we can support the Baton Rouge area during this really surreal time. And our management have stepped up to the plate and really found some innovative ways to support the Baton Rouge area. So we're excited to be able to share that today.
So let's jump in. I mean, you guys are doing stuff for frontliners. You're supplying grant funding. How do we even start here? Let's talk with frontline. What are you guys doing for the frontliners?
Well, yeah, I think the most unique thing about the way that we're providing support is, lots of people don't realize that in Baton Rouge we have a refinery and chemical plant that are integrated, and even more cool, across the river in Port Allen, we have a lubricant packaging plant that supplies like your Mobil 1. And so those three facilities have worked together to provide actual products that they make that support the front line. And that story has just really emerged and become very incredible examples of how our employees have innovated. One of the neatest things that they've done is our chemical plant actually has the largest unit in the world to supply isopropyl alcohol.
Okay.
And everyone knows isopropyl alcohol, or IPA, goes into that hand sanitizer that is such an important health protective ingredient right now during this COVID-19 response. And so they, starting off right off the bat, really ramped up production, and our unit was just going at full rate to provide isopropyl alcohol to the market. Then a group of employees started texting late one night and said, hey, we can make hand sanitizer right here on site. So they basically reconfigured a unit, got together a team, used one of the World Health Organization's recipes for hand sanitizer.
Recipes for hand sanitizers. I love it.
And began manufacturing hand sanitizer. And once they realized their capacity to produce it, they said, all right, we got to package it. So we went right across the river to their colleagues in Port Allen, where they bottle and package lubricants. And those folks actually built new equipment to be able to package hand sanitizer and create quart bottles. So together, those two facilities and the employees created a whole hand sanitizer production process. And right now are supplying the front line really all over the U.S. So incredible story. So
helping out the community is nothing new for Exxon. And you guys fit into, so I don't know if you've listened to the show before, but we like to highlight folks that do community-oriented things, Stephanie, that don't necessarily need to get praise for it and don't need to get credit for it. And Exxon kind of, in my mind, Exxon is one of those organizations, one of those entities that does a whole bunch of community stuff that people just don't know about. When we first met, and one of the things I kind of wanted to touch on today before we get talking about how you guys are providing funding for entities is you guys are doing a lot of stuff in North Baton Rouge, and especially before COVID-19, y'all had some major initiatives going on there. How is this situation, how has this pandemic affected kind of what you guys are doing with your other community-oriented initiatives?
Well, look, we have some programs in North Baton Rouge that, you've heard me share before.
Yes, ma'am.
One of my favorite, and I think one of the most impactful to the residents in North Baton Rouge and really our greater community, is our North Baton Rouge Industrial Training Initiative. And that program began with a plant manager back in 2012 who said, we want to hire our nearby residents. We want these folks to be in jobs in industry. And we went to Baton Rouge Community College and their North Acadian campus, which is right next door to our refinery, partnered with them to develop a free fast-track training program so that our North Baton Rouge residents could get certified and become electricians, pipe fitters, welders, millwrights, and be ready to work in industry. And look, I'll tell you, the biggest success of that program is all of our contractor partners who came to the table, joined with us, and are actually have been hiring these great graduates from the community colleges program. So we have Turner, ISC, on and on and on. All of the big contractors in town sit in a roundtable discussion with our plant managers and really look at workforce projections in those important crafts. And we tailor the program every year so that we can keep hiring North Baton Rouge residents.
So as a criminal, go ahead.
Hugely impactful.
So as a criminal defense attorney, I've often told individuals that I'm working with that these are the kind of jobs that everybody should want. I mean, as a criminal defense attorney, I wouldn't mind working in a plant myself, but it everything's connected. And the fact that you guys are providing a mechanism to get folks employed, especially in jobs that right now, those are the ones that we really need folks working in. So kind of changing gears a little bit, I want to talk about how you guys are providing grant funding for different entities. I'm looking at, so Stephanie sent me guys a cheat sheet. So she's very, very helpful. Some of these, look, Keep BR Serving, Walls Project. I love the Walls Project. Like, how are you guys, talk a little bit about the funding process. How are you guys selecting which entities to work with? I mean, you guys are really Catholic Charities. You're hitting we talked earlier about fueling the fight. So talk to us a little bit about how Exxon connects with these entities and organizations.
Absolutely. So, look, I have a team of folks that they are spending their days right now working from home, like many of us, and they're on the phone and, they're on those Zoom calls and talking to nonprofits to really understand what is needed in the community. Of course, we go to those great resources like the Baton Rouge Area Foundation and Capital Area United Way and just call our contacts in the community and understand what are the greatest needs right now. Collaborative efforts like Keep Baton Rouge Serving that the mayor started, or Fueling the Fight that the Baton Rouge Area Foundation and LaMoga supported, those really have the opportunity to have that larger impact. And so we look for strategic impact. Our team met with Superintendent Warren Drake, with the school board members, and with the East Baton Rouge Foundation, with the school system to really talk, okay, what do our students need right now? What is not being met with those government grants that the school system has received, and how can we support students, especially in the North Baton Rouge area? So we're working with them right now to understand how we can support our near neighbors through grant funding and also really through volunteerism. We have, close to 3,000 engineers and workers here in Baton Rouge, and they want to do their part too. So they're experts in STEM education. And right now, some of our engineers are creating STEM learning videos that can be used by students, not just this summer, but into the fall, as we kind of go into this uncertain era that COVID-19 has created.
So I got to tell you, and I have a liberal arts background, Stephanie. I don't know what your background is, but I got a degree, very useless degree in English literature and classical Latin before I went to law school. I took a tour of the West Baton Rouge plant. I was in Leadership Baton Rouge, and I took a tour of it. And my God, it was the coolest. Like, nobody would have ever explained to me how something as simple as canning oil was so cool. And it was very interesting to me. But what was most remarkable was, in talking to some of your team members, it's the community culture that you guys have. It's the fact that you guys genuinely care not only about each other, but about the surrounding community.
Absolutely.
And that is, it was plain and it's simple. It wasn't, and candidly, a lot of times when you go and visit companies, of course there's that marketing, there's that positive PR, but I got the sense with Exxon that it wasn't wasn't just fluff. It was genuine. It was real. We've got a few minutes left, Stephanie, so don't go anywhere yet. All right.
Okay.
So you're working on Frontline. You're working. I mean, you guys are making sanitizer. I love it. You're providing funding. What else are you guys doing that we need to know about that the community doesn't probably know that you guys are doing?
Well, I think the other really interesting thing during this time is our chemical plant doesn't just make the isopropyl alcohol, but right here in Baton Rouge, we're a major supplier of polypropylene.
Okay.
And that is a big name for a product that goes into all your medical face masks, your surgical gowns, the gloves, everything that our medical professionals are using right now. So that has been a big feedstock that's in great demand across the nation, and that's being supplied from our chemical plant. Our refinery manager, she stepped up and she said, hey, we want to do our part too. So she has donated gasoline to our emergency responders, and our police, our EMS drivers, our firefighters, they're able now to fill up without any cost to the city, and that really helps our city finances as well. And so we've opened up those city fuel pumps, providing ExxonMobil gasoline directly there at no charge. And that helps, when the city's battling this time where your sales tax revenues are down, budgets are tight, and you've got your front line really out there on the road responding to the situation. So our refinery's doing that as well. And then, you mentioned our employees and their deep care and concern. And look, most of our families that work at ExxonMobil have connections that run very deep into this community. A lot of the families here, it's second and third generation employees. Our employees made this great video, and I wish you could see it. And they sent it to all the hospital workers, all the frontline workers, where they just spent a few minutes thanking them. It's just that simple thank you and that commitment to do their part and stay at home.
So I hate to cut this short, Stephanie, because I could talk to you for hours. We have to hit our first break. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. You will definitely get harassed and nagged to be back on the show. That's how we get you in. We get you in for one episode, and then it's like you can't say no to the next one. So
I would love to come back.
So Stephanie, thank you guys, and thank Exxon for everything you're doing. God bless and stay safe. So folks,
thank you.
So folks, that's about it for our first segment. Stick around. We're going to be back for segment number 2 of the Geaux Rouge Show. So Brian Haldane, guys, is in the radio industry. So he may not have, you've been in for like how many decades, Brian?
October of 2004.
So you've been in, we're scratching 20 years, okay? 16, 17 years. So this is the kicker, guys. There are milestones, and again, I'm saying this as a noob. While I'm on the radio a lot, this is only 26 episodes of doing the radio show. And I got to tell you guys, there are milestones where you've been trying to get somebody on your show, and you finally do it. You finally get that person that you've been trying to get on your show. And I got to tell you, it's weird of me to say this, but Stephanie Cargile is that I tried to get her on one of the first episodes, and she's just so busy, and Exxon's got so much stuff going on. I am pumped up, Ryan, that I was able to get her on the show, and not just because of Exxon, but it's just she's good people. So that was me keeping it. That was me getting real for a minute. Facebook Live family. Whenever you're ready, partner.
Michelle. Hey, it's Brian with Talk 173. How are you? Well, you're about to be talking to Franz, so I'm going to drop you on hold real quick, and he's going to intro the second segment, and then he's coming your way, okay? Good deal. Thanks, man. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, stand by.
All right. Welcome back to the Geaux Rouge Show. We're in segment number 2, episode 26. We're talking to Baton Rouge Industries, plants, folks in the oil and gas industry that are giving back and helping with relief efforts in Baton Rouge. Additionally, in this segment, if we have time, we're going to talk about the Real Housewives of Baton Rouge. I'm going to say that again slower. The Real Housewives of Baton Rouge. Brian and I separately have come up with some concepts for this, and I'll explain it when we get to that portion of the show. For those who are listening, the Geaux Rouge Show is brought to you by the following sponsors. We have Breck, Smith Shanklin Sosa, the Louisiana Tech Park, the Borkart Law Firm, and Sullivan's Steakhouse. So in this segment, Brian, we are going to kick things off with Michelle Hardy from Turner Industries. Michelle, how are you doing? Michelle, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear your lovely voice. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. So, Brian, let me tell you about Michelle. Michelle and I go way back. Michelle and I were in, we had talked about it in the first segment, Michelle. Michelle and I were in Leadership Baton Rouge together. So my first encounter ever with Turner Industries was Michelle. And Michelle is good people. Michelle not only works for Turner, but you've got your fingers in a lot of different things, Michelle. You do criminal justice reform and reentry, which hits near and dear to me, right?
Right.
So you're actually, I'm going to tell you, you're actually the one that gets credit for this radio episode, because I wanted to do something to give back in terms of the industries that are doing so much for our community. And you were the one who said, well, you need to get like Exxon on, you need to get Tyler on. So I'm going to give you full credit for this. You are
We're all.
Go ahead.
We're all in this together.
Well, yes, ma'am. Of course. So you're the director of public affairs and community relations at Turner. What's that job like these days?
It's a job of many hats.
Yes. So what's Turner doing these days to kind of give back and help with the relief efforts?
Well, we're trying to do as much as we can with the, assets that we have. I have to tell you, though, our community efforts are always based, and I always go back to the Turner family, who has been so supportive and so behind Turner Industries 100%, 150%. Our community efforts started a long time ago.
Yes,
they didn't
ma'am.
start yesterday. They started way back when Bert Turner started Turner Industries. That family has such a philanthropic heart that it just transposes into our extended Turner Industry family culture. And the first thing that we started doing when this pandemic started is we looked at the PPE that we had and took inventory of what do we have, what are we going to need, and what can we give back to the frontliners who don't have access to that PPE right now. Some of those were police officers. Some of them were the hospitals working in the COVID units. And so we immediately took inventory, got our excess inventory out to those different places. And then also ABC Pelican chapter, which is Associated Builders and Contractors, got all the contractors together to look at what their PPE inventory looked like so we could get it out. And we used Baton Rouge General kind of as the drop-off point right after the governor announced the stay-at-home. So it was really a great starting effort. We've been feeding the frontliners. My first contact was I reached out to Eric at Baton Rouge General.
We mutually love Eric Showalter from the Baton Rouge General, who also, small world, also was in our Baton Rouge leadership class.
Absolutely. So I reached out to Eric and said, we want to bring food, but we want to make sure that we touch the people who are not getting the love every day.
Right.
So who in the hospital is essential that hadn't felt that heartwarming thank you yet? Because that's who we want to touch.
So, okay. All this stuff is just par for the course for Turner. And I agree with you that everything I know about Turner Industries, this isn't your first rodeo in giving back to the community. What is on the horizon for you guys in terms of continuing to provide relief efforts?
We are looking at every year for the past 7 years. Turner, in every region that we work in, has done a pretty large food drive. Over the last 7 years, just in the capital area region, we've provided over 278,000 meals. And so this year we're looking at partnering, once that we can start collecting food, partnering with United Way and doing Friends Feeding Friends and making sure that we can collect food safely, get it out. One of the things, and I was actually talking to Emily Klein this morning.
Shout out to Emily Klein, also also in our Leadership Baton Rouge class.
It's been a great experience. That class was a great experience for me. I met wonderful friends, great place to network.
Right.
But Emily and I were talking about looking forward as when we all start going back to work and the whole community shifts from, what we consider at Turner daily acts of kindness and start looking at how to get back into the workforce, how to get back, into a daily, somewhat new normal. There are going to be all those COVID units still in place, all the frontline workers still working. How do we continue to support them and make sure that they are getting the attention and kind of the support that they need from the community? So we're working with the Baton Rouge General, with Oshner, with Our Lady of the Lake, on how that support moves forward to make sure that they continue to have the support they need to do what they're doing in our community.
I'm glad you guys are working on that, because I have spent a lot of time thinking about what that looks like. What does that continued support look like? In particular, Michelle, in the reality of we may have a second or a third wave of this. So just because we get out of the woods doesn't mean we're quote unquote out of the woods. So in addition to these hats that you wear, you also dabble. Michelle, I've got you on the radio, so I mean you're at my disposal at this point. You also dabble in reentry, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about that. And Stephanie Cargile kind of was talking about that in her segment about working to provide people with training to get them into jobs, to get them into plants, to get them into employment. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but you guys were doing a lot of work on the reentry front. Has that kind of hit the brakes based on everything that's going on, or has there been discussions of how you guys can kind of pivot and address some of the new issues that are coming with reentry in a COVID-19 world?
Well, we're looking at every aspect.
Yes, ma'am.
Of reentry into the workforce, and also for those second chances. Turner is a huge partner with Exxon, with the North Baton Rouge Training Initiative. I went back in, I think it was February, and toured the Hunt facility and got to talk with some of the inmates there about what reentry looks like for them.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like they are a huge asset to our community. They've made a mistake. We've all made mistakes. They paid their price. But we need to make sure that we give them a support system once they come out of that population so they can get gainful employment and become part of the community with a support system that they need to be one of the great Baton Rouge area citizens that we want them to be.
Sure. And look, you teach a guy to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. You get a guy a good trade, you get him into a good job where he or she can make decent money. I mean, and look, no offense to Burger King, it's hard to make a living working at Burger King, right? So right. You get them a good job where they can pay their bills, they can produce income, they can support taxes and pay taxes and raise a family. It's just a good thing. So look, if folks want to get more information, Michelle, about Turner, where can they go?
I would suggest they go to our website, and it's turner-industries.com. I have to tell you, in thinking about the reentry and the workforce development that we do, after being in this industry now for about 8 or 10 years, if I had to do it over again, I would be in the plant standing right beside our employees who work every day in our industry.
I've seen you in a hard hat before, so.
Oh, I love to get out and visit our employees
Sure.
at the job site because they are Turner.
Yes, ma'am. Well, look, anything else we need to talk about before we let you back to your busy day? And by the way, Michelle, thank you so much for helping with this episode today. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. I love watching you.
Michelle is one of the few people that says, I love watching you on a radio show. I've got a face. I've been told I have a face for radio. So, Michelle.
No, but I'm watching. You're on Facebook.
That is true. That is true. In a digital world, what we do for those who are listening on the radio later this week, we record on Tuesdays and do it on Facebook Live. So we do an early episode release, and then it plays on the radio on Saturdays. And I think again on Sundays. So, Michelle, anything else we need to know about Turner before we let you loose?
Can't think of anything. The only thing I can tell you is, Franz, if you all need support or you've got some innovative ideas of how to do things in the community, the contractors industry-based group is a great place to come because we all, did jobs, but when it comes to the community, we all pull together and we become one.
I like it. This is starting to feel, and I'll tell you, Michelle, I'm starting to feel the way I felt after the flood, where people were helping people pull sheetrock. People were helping people rebuild. And I'm starting, there was that sense of hopelessness and helplessness in the beginning of this, where what are we supposed to do? We can't leave our house. What are we supposed to do? And now we're starting to see community organizations and businesses do cross-sector initiatives, whether it's working with restaurants to help feed frontliners, which helps the restaurants, helps the frontliners, which of course helps the patients. I'm starting to feel that warm and fuzzy, so I'm glad about that. Michelle, thank you so much for being on. Have a great day, and we'll have you on again too. Okay?
Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Man, I love Baton Rouge Industry, Brian. I love what they're doing. All right, so before we jump into Real Housewives of Baton Rouge, I got to talk about something else. I promised that the Louisiana Arts and Science Museum, I would talk about an initiative they're doing. It's this week, and in fact, it may be too late by the time you hear this on 107.3 on the radio, but this week they're selling $25 raffle tickets. And the raffle tickets are going towards winning a blue alligator print. Every time you donate $25, you get a chance to win this print. It's on their social media page. It's on their webpage. The money that they're raising money is going to go for COVID-19 relief efforts, and specifically they're trying to create a virtual museum on the web for folks. I mean, you can't go to a museum right now, but you can certainly enjoy a virtual one. So please check out the Louisiana Arts and Science Museum. Again, before we change gears, Mother's Day. Be looking for a blog post. It's a joint blog post by Geaux Rouge and Laura Sue Events on Mother's Day places you can buy something special for that loved one. I don't want to say I phoned it in for Mother's Day this year, guys, but I basically looked at my wife and said, what do you want? What do you need? And she gave me a list of things, and this is how lazy I was. I basically said, why don't you put it in a cart and I'm just going to pay for it, which is what she did. She basically went online, got a whole bunch of stuff that she uses. You can be better than me, though. You can use this blog to find some deals. So let's change gears. We got Brian. We got a little bit of time left. We got a little bit of time left. So I was drinking some very delicious whiskey yesterday, and in the Borchardt household, it's not uncommon for us to watch Trash Bravo TV. Mm-hmm. And by Trash Bravo TV, Brian, I'm talking Real Housewives, Married to Medicine. You know, the quote unquote reality shows.
Yes.
And so about 4 whiskeys in, I sit there. Yeah, I'm drinking my emotions these days. About 4 whiskeys in, I started thinking, what does a Real Housewives of Baton Rouge show look like?
Yeah.
I mean, can you picture in your mind's eye, can you picture a Real Housewives of Baton Rouge show?
I can, but you have to narrow this down to a number of different angles.
So let's start there.
Okay.
So are we talking about a Bocage Real Housewives of Baton Rouge?
Yep.
Are we talking about a Country Club of Louisiana Real Housewives of Baton Rouge? Are we talking Mid-City? Are we talking a South Downs Real Housewives of Baton Rouge?
See, I've got 4 of them right off the top. The CCL,
okay,
Bocage,
okay,
Mid-City, Bocage Mid-City I would have in the same one.
Yeah.
Okay, and St. George.
Okay. Oh man, St. George, Real Housewives of Baton Rouge. So I started making a list. I make lists.
Okay.
So I started making a list. Like, what are the things we would see in this show? I think one of the things we would see in this show is a myriad of feline attire that is prints of every sort of feline imaginable except for tiger.
Yes.
So like cheetah, leopard,
a lot of leopard.
I mean, yeah, right? So in COVID-19, it would look particularly interesting because you'd have like face masks that were thematic, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd have to have purple and gold face masks.
Right.
I mean, but what else would you have? I mean,
well, along with the purple and gold face mask and the feline print face mask, I think you'd have like a lot of the vineyard vines.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you.
Or anything sold at Tangerine, I think would end up there.
So one of my good friends, Harmony Hobbs, shout out to Harmony Hobbs, was talking about what it's like to be going through, if you were a Real Housewife, what it would be like to go through this. And she mentioned, like underground nail jobs.
Okay.
I mean, it's getting to that point, right?
It really is. Not just the nail jobs, but touching up the roots as well.
Ooh.
That's got to be a thing.
Well, she had an interesting theory. That there may be some camo, like little scarves or bandana things going on.
Okay, so you cover up the bottom 2 inches of the hair.
Right. I mean,
it's really just to pull it back. No, I see that happening.
Right. So, and then I have the question of, on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, they have certain things they drink. They all drink rosé. They drink wine. What is a Baton Rouge Real Housewife drinking? Is she drinking Michelob Ultra?
I don't think she's drinking Michelob Ultra. I really don't. I think it would vary based off of where they are. Like that, the Bocage, Old Goodwood, Mid-City area.
Like that's a Zippy's margarita kind of thing, right?
That is. Well, I was going to say Superior would fall under that as well, but I think Zippy's would probably be better.
Yeah.
You branch out a little bit further, it's anything from the Rum House.
It's, I think here's the question.
Or above Zippy's, Velvet Cactus.
Well, Mestizos is slinging some serious margaritas right now.
Yeah.
So I think Baton Rouge could support this show concept because the beauty of these shows, and I'm off the rails here, guys, but the beauty of these shows is these housewives have all this money.
Yes.
And nothing to do.
Yes.
Right. I mean, some of them work, they own businesses, but essentially it's unbridled money.
Yes.
And look, I'm picturing what that Bocage episode looks like. I mean, is it like drama at the tennis courts? I mean,
see, I think it starts with a meeting at Beausoleil to plan a fundraiser at the Arabian Farm.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, because we've all got to wear cowboy boots at some point.
Look, I don't even know what to say to that last comment other than I was asked by St. Jude to spearhead their Derby Day project at the Arabian.
Nailed it. Where were you asked though? Were you at a lunch or something when it was happening?
This is the best part. And Facebook and radio, you're about to get a treat. So my good friend Brittany that works for St. Jude calls me and says, hey, Jay Ducote has done this for years, and we're looking. Jay's tired of doing it, so we're looking for someone who can kind of fill her words, kind of fill Jay's shoes. And I was like, so am I like sloppy Jay Seconds? Is that what it? A little bit, yeah. So okay, back to the Real Housewives. Okay, so like, how many episodes are going to be tailgating? I mean, and then there's different. Is there a socioeconomic divide of tailgating?
Oh, there absolutely is.
Like, is it stratified like levels? I mean,
right off the bat, okay, if you are further from the stadium than the quad, you're out.
So it's a proximity to the stadium thing.
Yeah. Well, those two things go hand in hand. They don't necessarily go hand in hand, but the closer you get to the stadium and the later in the day you could just walk up to a tailgate that's already going. Like the people who have to get out there at dawn and light the grill themselves, they're not in this.
So, but here's the thing. Here's my question, and I'm not a big tailgating guy. I know that's an embarrassment to admit, but your proximity to the stadium is entirely contingent on how early you get out there.
No,
that's not prosperity.
No. It's entirely contingent upon what parking pass you have paid for. Your proximity. If you want the best spot, you got to have the best parking pass, and in turn, that's going to cost more.
Our show concept are going to be close to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are they going to be
catered?
Catered.
Yeah. When you have Matherns deliver your tailgate to you, you're in this number.
No, I think they're going to want. See, I think they're going to want someone like Jay to cater because they're going to want that celebrity presence.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
See, I wouldn't rule out Matherns though. Now that they're on campus,
or maybe they collab with Matherns and Jay
to
do. So I think Bravo has something here. I think we're sitting on gold.
Well, but is this going to be on a Real Housewives tact or a Southern Charm tact? Because
oh man,
I mean, Southern Charm New Orleans really left the rails quickly.
So there's a trashy component to both, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want it to be like trashy young people just doing trashy things, you're going to do Southern Charm. If you want
Southern Charm New Orleans isn't trashy.
No.
The original a lot more, but God, why do I know so much about this crap?
It's because it's because we watch trashy.
Because I want to spend time with my wife, and if that's what's on TV, then I'm spending time with my wife. That's why.
I will close this. I say the word loosely. Segment out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll close this out by saying, look, I draw the line at 90-day engagement. I cannot watch that. But a good old fashioned Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Orange County. It's the train wreck I can't not watch.
The only one I can actually claim I get into is New Jersey, because you know a table's going to get flipped over at some point.
Dude, they're violent.
They are.
Things escalate quickly. Yeah. So, okay, we've got about a minute left of the Geaux Rouge show. This is what happens when you do 26 episodes, folks. Okay, look, so before we close out, we are going to direct you guys back to www.GeauxRouge.com. That is a place for you to get all the information about the Geaux Rouge radio show. And look, if you've got ideas for radio topics, you want to get me some people on, email me at info@GeauxRouge.com, info@GeauxRouge.com. You've been listening to Franz Borkhardt, host of the show, and then Brian Haldane, who's behind Master Controls. And look, I'm going to try to convince Brian to let me come on Friday to have a little bit more fun about this this Real Housewives of Baton Rouge. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.